Okay, welcome to the second video where we'll discuss the importance of this research as a topic and what it can contribute to understanding Calabar and the slave trade. To quickly revisit, the research question of this paper is to answer what Efik traders can teach us about the transatlantic trade, with a secondary importance on understanding the long-term gain of the local middlemen. This portion of the presentation will first focus on why this thesis is being pursued and it's important to historical understanding, and then I'll share my sources and their contributions. So the story of African slavery is often defined with intense European violence, manipulation, and control. Throughout the American education system, we learn that European powers commanded a dominating influence over all aspects of the African transatlantic slave trade. And we've seen through several readings that European aggression is a driver of slave capture. However, the simplification of complete European authority does not consider the variety of African slave experiences. I want to show that Efik intermediaries were not merely pawns at the will of Europeans. Instead, they exercised power, control, and profit of their own. The assignment of power, influence, and blame is not a binary construct, but instead one that must be shared. We discuss the problems with unfaithfulness to truth when speaking about King Leopold's funding of monuments and government buildings in class. There are similar instances in this case where places like the Slave History Museum in Nigeria have not been open to sharing the blame for slave trading. They were quick to place the entire blame on Europeans and were not interested in sharing the enthusiastic participation of Efik merchants who were pursuing profit. I think the Efik traders may help to show the localized intricacies of the transatlantic trade at the Calabar port and dispel the notion of African subjectivity and passivity, especially in the Cross River region. I'll be looking primarily at Antero Duke's diary and supporting that with secondary sources. Antero Duke was considered a great businessman in the major slave trading port of Duketown. He spoke a mixed Efik English language and could communicate effectively with British and other European sailors, giving him a full understanding of the events that were happening. And the diary was also written at an interesting time between 1785 and 1788, towards the height of the slave trade in this region, where Antero Duke was able to participate in very large trade volumes. These years were considered a great interest because an estimated 15,000 slaves, 500,000 yams, and 100 tons of ivory, palm, and other oils were traded. And his diary is one of the most extensive Efik authored writings that provides any insight into old Calabar's pre-colonial history, and especially into some of the volumes that we're going through at this time. The source is extensive in Antero Duke's writing and also the complementary analysis after translation. I'll use to supplement this with other primary texts, such as the Intercourse and Cross Currents in the Atlantic World. And then we'll be looking at some secondary texts there as well that look into the politics and other relations around the Calabar region. Because although my project is not an investigation of politics directly, it is an investigation into control and influence. So understanding the impact of the Efik, or the Ekpi people, in the Cross River region will be incredibly helpful to my analysis. In the next video, I'll speak more about some of the takeaways from the research and finish with some final thoughts on the state of my research and where it's going.